Lots of questions answered on calcium. Calcium was low. Alkalinity, kalkwasser. Try a 1/4 teaspoon. Dry rock, algae, why this is happening, why that's happening. Can I do this? Can I do that? Let's get into it. Joel. Tom, what is your calcium levels in your tanks? I want to start dosing calc, but my calcium is 440. Is that too high to dose kalkwasser? Joel, I would say it's not necessary if your calcium is at 4. That's Sylvia. Where was I? Okay. If your calcium's 440, let's not forget that kalkwasser adds other advantages. It also will help raise your DKH a little and your pH. 440 is not ultimately too high, so I wouldn't be too concerned about the number and try the kalkwasser. I usually recommend a 1/2 teaspoon per gallon, so I said try a 1/4 teaspoon. Make sure that's spread out over the ATO water replacement over about a week and see what your numbers are then. One more real quick thing here on kalkwasser, guys. I don't care what my calcium would be, what my DKH would be, or what I keep in my tank. I would dose kalkwasser in my ATO no matter what tank I have. I will never stop dosing kalkwasser. What I would do is if my calcium was high, I would find out why. If my calcium was a little high, you're either not using it up or your DKH is low. So it all depends. I'm going to answer some questions on alkalinity and calcium in 2-part dosing. They work together. That'll be one of the questions I'll answer later. All right, as quick as I can be, water change Wednesday on whatever day this is. Question and answer. I answer your questions out in the comments below the video, and then I answer them here. Quick coral question. Anthony asks about his Duncan. He got it 2 months ago, and it hasn't opened yet, and he's wondering why. His parameters are okay. He moved it higher up in the tank to get more light to see if that would work. First thing I thought of when he said he raised it higher was, okay, well, maybe it already has too much light, and now he's raising it higher, and it may even have way too much more light. Duncans can thrive at 50 par. 50 to 100 par. So if you can't determine your par reading, I would say keep it down lower in the tank. A lot of coral placement and why corals do the things they do are trial and error in time. I got a little better angle today, right? You get a little bit of the 10. So it's like Da Vinci, you know, The Last Supper was one of the first perspectives. All right, a couple videos ago we talked about dry rock and algae and dinos, and I had a response from Chris. He was talking about that the dry rock leaches potential nitrate and phosphate. That's possible. All those dry rocks are different. I use Marco rock in my 5-gallon when I set it up. It did have a hair algae issue, but it didn't have a hair algae issue all over the rock. It was in the crevices where the detritus was forming, and that's where the hair algae grew. You can't avoid hair algae completely. You may be doing great in the beginning and you're going, wow, 3 months, no hair algae, 4, 5, 6, and all of a sudden you hit 7 or 8 or 9 months and boom, it explodes. With hair algae in a 1-year-old and under tank, guys, you just have to deal with it. And I've told you what I think about how you should deal with it. Pull it out manually, keep your nitrate and phosphate as low as they can go. Just wait it out and see what happens. That's my advice, 27 years, that's how I've done it. As I used to say, just pay attention, pay attention. You're not paying attention to me. All right, Tom Grumpy Reefer, let's go. Next question. William has a cyano issue. He says it's growing on his sand bed. And and he's tried ChemiClean and it's gone away and it's come right back. He's also added a flow pump to create more flow. That's a good thing. Cyano's another one of those things. Before I found ChemiClean, I would just wait it out. You do your water change, you just do everything the way you're doing it, and eventually it goes away. It all comes down to time and your balance of your system and your parameters. Now, I'm being such a bitch today. I'm gonna lump these two together. If you're adding calcium and alkalinity and you're trying to get your numbers to where you've researched the correct numbers, which are between 420 and 500, that's okay. Your DKH can range from 8 to 10, maybe even a little more. That's okay too. If your tank looks good, your corals look nice, any of those numbers will work. The issue that I'm seeing that you're adding different levels of calcium and alkalinity. 2-part dosing does not work that way. It is a complicated thing. It's really kind of tricky. If your tank is low in one area, say it's low in calcium, you don't add more calcium than your alkalinity level in 2-part. It's going to throw things off. You raise both of them up and you'll see that they'll balance. I had a couple questions about one being calcium was low and one alkalinity was high, and one was I'm adding more alkalinity to raise my alkalinity. All that stuff, doing it separately, is not going to work. It's going to throw everything off. If it won't work with water change, then 2-part dose in equal amounts, starting really low, test, and if it's still low or one or the other is low, increase both amounts in an equal amount. But it's always good to throw a Haiger mini wave question in there, especially when it's a new viewer named Raymond. Raymond asks if he can use a mini wave in a 25-gallon lagoon. Raymond, I'm not sure. Give it a try. Let's see what your return flow can do in there. But my guess is it's just not going to be enough. Or what will occur is you'll just get one laminar flow in the tank. It won't be random or irregular. So you may have to put one up in the corner and maybe one in the back, opposite side, to create a really nice random flow in there. But try one. Why not? They're $63, but what happens with not enough flow, and I've said it before, is you may get dead spots or dead zones in the tank that will collect detritus, and then that can be a problem later on with hair algae. All right, guys, that should do it for this one. Have a great rest of the day. Keep the questions coming, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care.